has not been a good week for the 49ers, despite coming off of a win against the Seattle Seahawks, against a division opponent. Really, this week hasn't felt like a win. Victory Monday was devastating. We learned about Brock Purdy injury. We got some news about Juwan Jennings. We learned about Kittle's injury, which we'll get into right now, folks. Week 2, going up against the New Orleans Saints. This is the preview. What to expect, what's happening with the team, what can we take away from the Saints game against the Arizona Cardinals. So let's hop right into it. First thing, right off the bat, no Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy will not be playing week 2 against the New Orleans Saints. As I mentioned in the previous video, he walked away after that week 1 game in Seattle with a left shoulder injury. So luckily not his throwing shoulder, and it sounds to be not super severe, but the more severe of the injury, his toe. On a tackle, Julian Love tackled him on, I believe, when he was scrambling once, going out of bounds, gets tackled, hurts his toe. It sounds to be similar to a turf toe type incident, but he's going to be out for, they're saying 2 to 5 weeks. So hopefully he'll be reevaluated after the Saints game, and hopefully he can come back by week 3. That's best case scenario, but I'm prepared for the worst case scenario and him missing 5 weeks. So hopefully that's not the case, but with how the season's been going, you kind of have to prepare for that. So that's very unfortunate. So Mac Jones is in line to start. Could be solid, former first round quarterback, spent his time in New England, spent some time in Jacksonville, and now he's here with the San Francisco 49ers. Many people, thought that he was going to be the pick at the number 3 overall, just a couple years back when the 49ers picked Trey Lance. We all saw how that adventure went. Many people speculating if it was Mac Jones, maybe it would have gone differently. I'm not here to talk about the 3rd overall pick or any of that here. I'm just here to talk about week 2. Mac Jones is in line to start. I think it could go well though. Okay, people speculated, and it almost seems like it's confirmed. Like Shanahan loved Mac Jones coming into that draft. That's why people thought that he was going to be the 3rd overall pick so much, because he very much fits the Shanahan system. Okay, no doubt about it. He's kind of just a robot that you can feed information to, go with the flow. Okay, this is the game plan. This is the game script. Follow it. Don't make a mistake. Now, obviously, throughout his career, he's made many mistakes. Okay, he's thrown interceptions. Okay, he's not the best quarterback. There's a reason why he's on his 3rd team in just a couple years. But I think that Mac Jones can be good enough to win this football game. Okay, I think the Saints are bad enough of a team, with all due respect, that Mac Jones can come out on top. And this team in general, I think the 49ers themselves are good enough to beat the New Orleans Saints. And if the light is a little wonky, and it's getting a little brighter, a little darker, the sun here in San Jose, California, acting real weird today. Sometimes it's shining, it'll get dimmer. So just a FYI, just want to put that clarification out there. But back to Mac Jones. So in the preseason, we didn't see as much as Mac Jones as I would have liked. I feel like it was mostly Tanner Mordecai and Connor Bradley, right? Who, boy, oh boy, I'm glad he's not starting. But in the preseason, in just about 2 games played, he went 17 for 23, throwing for 209 yards. Not bad efficiency, okay? Not bad at all. I think that Shanahan will be able to coach him enough to where he'll look competent, I don't think if he plays good, there'll be a quarterback competition or anything. Obviously, just paid Brock Purdy this mega contract. Very unfortunate that he's not playing here in week 2. But what I will say, Ricky Pearsall and CMC to the moon. If you're a fantasy owner and you have one of those guys, feel good this week. I think that Pearsall is really going to be the go-to guy. He's really going to get the schematic plays. The plays are going to go to him. Shanahan will be in Mac Jones here. All right, go to number 1 here. I think majority of the game. We kind of saw a little bit of that in week 1, and I think we're going to see even more of it in week 2. So yeah, I think Pearsall is going to play a big part, and CMC. I think that we're going to have to rely on the run game to set the tone, at least in the beginning of the game. So I really hope that we can see a lot of CMC, but also a lot of Brian Robinson, and maybe even a little bit of Isaac Guerrero. If he can get like 3-4 carries, that wouldn't be upsetting to me at all. CMC, of course, he's still battling with his calf injury. I still want to take it slow with him, especially against an opponent like the Saints. I don't want to see him getting, over 20 carries this game. More than likely he will, just because of the position we're in with no Brock Purdy. But yeah, so that's going to be unfortunate. I definitely want to see a lot more Brian Robinson this game, though. He had, 9 carries last week. I would like to see him hit, 10 plus. Okay, 10 plus carries for Brian Robinson is my hope. Also important to note, Kendrick Bourne is back. The Patriots released him, and now he's back with the Bay. Let's go, man. So I think he play a big part. I think he can be a reliable guy. Jennings should also be good to go. This team is getting a little bit healthier, and that's a plus. I guess a little healthier and a little more decimated too, as we'll get into Kittle in just a moment here, because I also want to spotlight Jordan Watkins, the rookie out of Ole Miss, who may also be back. So those are 3 new. I guess Jennings played week 1, but he didn't play the entire game. But I think Bourne, Jennings, Watkins, everybody's going to get their fair share. Everybody's going to have to eat. Even MVS, even Russell Gage. Everybody's going to have to play a part. Everybody has to be ready for that ball to come their way, and they have to be ready to step up if their number is called. Also, speaking on stepping up, Kittle placed on IR with a hamstring injury. What is going on? Of course, this offense just can't stay healthy. They can't stay on the field. It's okay. Kittle, you can take my hamstring if you want. I'm sure there's surgeries for that nowadays. So I believe it's going to be Jake Tonkus. I think Tonkus is going to get most of the tight end reps. Braden Willis was also called up from the practice squad. I don't expect him to get much playing time. And then or Luke Farrell. So Luke Farrell and Tongus are going to be the tight ends 1 and 2. But after Tongus's game-winning touchdown reception, I feel like you kind of have to reward him the tight end 1 spot. That's the very least you could do. And I think he might be a better receiver than Farrell. I mean, both guys, I think, they're not known for their receiving skills, but Tongus, he went up there. You got to reward him. You got to feed the hot hand. So I would love to see Tongus out there more. Let's move on to the offensive line. Ben Barch was also got a little banged up. So I think Connor Colby could be the replacement at left guard if he's not able to go. I would also, I mentioned last video, I would love to experiment this game with Ben Barch at center and Connor Colby at left guard. You can also do vice versa. You could keep Ben Barch at left guard, put Colby at center, but what's the harm in trying if Brendel gets banged up or something? What's the harm in testing out different combinations to see what's the best? I don't see the harm in that. But other than that, the O-line, relatively healthy. No news on Trent Williams. I know he got a little banged up against Seattle, but it sounds like he's all good to go. Let's move on to the defense. The defense is relatively healthy. Bosa, Fred Warner, they're all good to go. Deommodore Lenoir, Renardo Green, Upton Stout, they'll be all good to go. We're still just waiting on Malik Mustafa. And defense is really going to be big in this game. Gonna have to rely on the defense. The Saints offense, not too talented. Okay, let's say the facts here. The Saints defense is not talented. Defense has to step up. Okay, defense is going to have to make all the stops in the world. Don't allow a touchdown. And we'll be all good to go. I hope our pass rush can get home, because when I talk about the Saints here in just a few, 2 of their starting offensive linemen are questionable in this game. So that could be big. We could get a big Bosa game. We saw how incredible he was in week 1. I would love to see him continue that in New Orleans. I really want to see the rookies get their feet under them. I want to see Michael Williams really take over this game, because this is a good game to get the rookies on track. You've got almost half of the defensive starters are rookies. They're in the first year. They're young. They're still learning the dang scheme probably. So this is a good game to get them, kind of a welcome to the NFL moment, I suppose. Michael Williams, CJ West, Alfred Collins. Upton Stout could really have a good bounce back game. He struggled against Seattle. Seattle really picked on him. I want to see Stout get a good game here. Marquise Sigel was, one of the better rookies on defense. Let's see him keep it up. Let's see him get a pick. Maybe, why not? He got a fumble recovery last game, Add a pick to that resume. So let's see these young guys really step up. And I really feel like this is the type of game that could be that. Get the rookies on track. Let's go. Going on to the Saints, as I mentioned, 2 of their offensive linemen are questionable at the moment here as I'm recording this on Thursday morning. No news on if they're going to be playing or not yet. But Taliese Fuaga and Trevor Penning, they are questionable. Chase Young is questionable. Safety Jordan Howard is questionable, or I think it's Howden. Only one that we know is Julian Blackman, who is out for the rest of the season. So that's what the Saints are looking like health-wise. So also pretty banged up, not as impactful as the Niners, I fear. I mean, you could argue Fuaga and Penning are pretty impactful there. But they're coming off a loss against the Cardinals, 20-13. And really the score shouldn't have been that close. Okay, I think I know it's close and you're thinking, okay, maybe the Saints are that guy, but I really feel like it was more so the Cardinals struggling that, let the Saints put up 13 points. It was a close game for a lot of the game. So I don't think, as long as the Niners come out hot and they play their best ball, not even like their best ball necessarily, but if they play their best ball, it should be a blowout. But if they play even like 80% of themselves. I'm not saying that we should. Every game, come out hot, come out explosive, come out ready to blow this team out the water. But, you never know. You never know with the Niners, especially with all these injuries. It shouldn't be that close of a game. And frankly, the Saints shouldn't put up 13 points on this defense. Let's say it as is. Rattler is not necessarily impressive. We might see Tyler Shuck this game. Just if it's not close, they might want to just see the rookie out there. Kamara, obviously, they still have Alvin Kamara. He's still going to be dangerous. He's still going to be a big part of their game plan. And Chris Olave as well. You really just have to contain those two. And you should be all good to go. Defense, let's go, man. Saints defense, they're solid. They've got, Cameron Jordan. They have Kool-Aid McKinstry. But overall, nothing that I don't think the Niners can't handle. So all in all, my prediction is that the Niners do win, of course. Hopefully, you don't give up more than 3 points to the Saints. But, they very well could get in the end zone and get 10 points. Kamara is he's still so good. Okay, you got to respect Kamara. The defense should be good enough to get the win. Okay, despite how the offense is going to look at it. And I hope that I'm rooting for Mac. I'm hoping he doesn't play bad. But if he does, you always have to prepare for that. Backup quarterback, he's going to struggle, at least in the beginning of the game. But the defense should be enough to take the weight off of the offense. Maybe we can Mac attack, okay? Mac attack. I don't know why I put that in my notes, frankly. Rely on the run game, CMC and Brad Robinson, maybe a little bit of Guerrero in the mix, as I mentioned earlier. But the number one thing, stay healthy. You have to stay healthy. Leave this game not banged up. Leave this game as a team and hope Brock Purdy can be back week 3 or as soon as possible, and hopefully Kittle will be back week 5. All in all, that is going to wrap it up for the week 2 Saints preview. It's going to be tough because of where the team is at currently with all the injuries they're battling. The starting quarterback is out. Starting tight end is out. CMC is banged up. So it could be an uphill battle. That way, I believe the spread is like 4.5 right now. I think the Niners will cover that pretty clearly. So, folks, I will see y'all in the next one. Make sure you take a look in the description below where my TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter is. And, okay, I'll catch y'all in the next one in the week 2 recap talking about the game. All right, folks, have a good one. Stay happy. Peace out.